So Warner Brothers Discovery has decided to rename its streaming service Max to HBO Max, which is what it was called before they changed it to Max. So this is going to take effect this summer. I have a quote here from the Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav saying, quote, the powerful growth we have seen in our global streaming service is built around the quality of our programming. Today, we are bringing back HBO, the brand that represents the highest quality in media, to further accelerate that growth in the years ahead, end quote. And I have another longer blurb here, a statement from the company writ large saying, quote, this evolution has been influenced by changing consumer needs and the fact that no consumer today is saying they want more content, but most consumers are saying they want better content. With other services filling the more basic needs with volume, Warner Brothers Discovery has clearly distinguished itself through its quality and distinct stories, and no brand has done that better and more consistently over 50 plus years than HBO. Returning the HBO brand into HBO Max will further drive the service forward and amplify the uniqueness that subscribers can expect from the offering. It is also a testament to Warner Brothers Discovery's willingness to keep boldly iterating its strategy and approach, leaning heavily on consumer data and insights to best position itself for success, end quote. I love where they try to justify it. I think this actually speaks to how brave we are for taking creative chances, right? As if it wasn't just a cynical, dumb business decision that made no sense then and doesn't make any sense now. So a lot of people point out this is the fifth name for an HBO streaming service. First there was HBO Go in 2008, and then HBO Now in 2015, and then HBO Max in 2020, and then Max in 2023, and now HBO Max in 2025. Though, to be fair, HBO Go and HBO Now were not the same service as HBO Max, and the name just got changed. They were technically different services. Whereas if you had HBO Max and when they changed it to Max, you didn't have to download a new app. The app just changed, I believe. I could be wrong. Someone comment and let me know if I was wrong. So technically it hasn't gone through multiple name changes, but just there have been so many HBO streaming services that people are, understandably poking a lot of fun at this. HBO, it's really getting dragged through the mud right now, but it kind of deserves it, right? And it's fundamentally tied to the chaos, the corporate chaos that is Warner Brothers Discovery, right? So this Frankenstein of a company was the result of a merger between Warner Media, which itself was spun off from AT&T, merging that with Discovery back in 2022. And notably, Max was launched prior to that merger back in 2020, or HBO Max, I should say, right? You have the David Zaslav of it all, who's the CEO, right? Also brought in after HBO Max was launched. And he's demonstrated, and I won't go through the laundry list of things, but he's just demonstrated he has zero respect or appreciation for films or television or the cinematic medium as an art form, right? Leading to very shrewd, maybe a charitable way of putting it, more like cynical and cash grabby financial decisions for the business, even going as far as canceling finished films for a tax write-off, right? And, why did they remove HBO from the name in the first place, right? It was probably because some focus group said that Max was cleaner. And, the New York Times notes that it was probably because they wanted... Because then with the streaming wars, everyone wanted to be Netflix. And the thing about Netflix is that Netflix is kind of everything for everybody because of its scale. You could be a kid, you could be a tween, a teen, a young adult, an adult, and a senior citizen. There's going to be stuff on there for you, right? And every company, when they decide we're going to make a streaming service, should have really honed in on a niche. And then price their service accordingly and make it dirt cheap because there's less offerings, right? But really cater to a certain market. What everyone actually did was just try to be the everything app. They just wanted to be Netflix. So that would also probably explain why they took away the HBO, because even though HBO has plenty of content that isn't just for adults, in the last 20 years, it's really become known for its more adult content. So I would imagine, aside from just them just being idiots, I would imagine that they took HBO out of the name because they wanted it to appeal to everybody, and with HBO in the name made it seem like it was just for adults, right? So that was probably the reasoning, but then I think they realized HBO is probably the strongest brand we have. Why did we get rid of it? Kids don't sign up for streaming services. Adults do. So what do we care if HBO is associated with adult content, right? It just, like I said, it just speaks to the disorganization and the crisis of leadership at the company, taking this historic studio and just becoming this hollow shell of itself. And some people are thinking that this reintroduction of HBO, this emphasis on the Warner Brothers side of the company, CNBC's David Faber thinks that this rebranding may signal a split for between the Warner Media side of things and Discovery. Just a couple years after they merged, right? And Faber says, quote, "It's become relatively clear to me from the many conversations that I've had that we could get some sort of an announcement in the not too distant future that they are planning to try to split the company," end quote. Poor Warner Media, because it was spun off from AT&T, and which itself, it was only with AT&T for like a short period, maybe like less than a decade. And now it's going to break up with Discovery. But it's probably more Warner Brothers wanting to break up with Discovery because I think they realize, oh, we have a strong brand. You guys do not have a strong brand. And why did we do this, right? And hopefully this just leads to a better product, right? Because in a lot of ways, HBO Max might be my favorite of the streaming services because it has such exceptional content from HBO, from the Warner Brothers library. It's so diverse in terms of the genre, as well as the time period. That's a big issue with a lot of these streaming services, especially Netflix, of older films. And Warner Brothers obviously has been around for like a century, so they have almost like this massive catalog of Warner Brothers originals, as well as older films that Warner Brothers has acquired from other studios going out of business. And again, HBO as a brand is just so strong. It was dumb to excise it from the name of the service in the first place. And I have a quote here from Eric Schiffer, who's the chairman of the LA-based reputation management consultants group, saying, quote, "Re-adding HBO isn't a rebrand. It's a corporate walk of shame. Every neon Max banner hangs like a scarlet letter of incompetence. Stripping it costs more than some streamers spend on content," end quote. So, wow. Really scathing condemnation from Eric Schiffer here, basically saying, them doing this is the biggest kind of like tail between the legs kind of like, oh, we were wrong, we're sorry, people like HBO. So it really is just a bad look, right? It's just embarrassing if you're HBO, which is why when they make a statement, let me scroll back up here. That's why when they make a statement, they have to be like, it's a testament to Warner Brothers' willingness to keep boldly iterating. It's like, no, it just means that you don't know what you want to do and you have no real informed strategy. All this to say, I still really like HBO Max. And I hope this nets them more money so they can put more money into the streaming service and HBO in general. Wow, what an interesting story. I'm sure you have some thoughts about the topic, so comment below, let me know what you think. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really, really helps people find the channel and makes me feel all warm inside. Until next time, I'm Peter Mancuso. Peace out.